Hello everyone, this is Caroline at Create Your Future. How's everybody doing today? I am a coach here available for one-on-one coaching. I am also a certified hypnotherapist. I'm certified in NLP TFT tapping as well. Guys, before we start, as always, I mentioned that we have a free course that you can download. So all the info is on the link underneath. It's about how to identify your blocks and manifest anything you want fast. All right, so today we are going to talk about when you have a circumstance in front of you that seems to be the opposite of what you want, or seems to go at exactly the opposite direction of what you want. Okay, so I am going to illustrate this with an example that I work with a client. And actually in my previous video I gave you an example already. So I want to bring you more, because it was not that one client had a fluke manifestation and completely turn around the circumstances. If you are consistent, the law is also consistent. The law doesn't change, right? So if you understand that this is how the law works, that everything is a projection of your mind, and what's in your mind is a story that you tell yourself. They are a bunch of beliefs and assumptions of what's going on around you, of the world, of who you are yourself. So all of this is being reflected in your 3D reality, the good and the bad. So when you want to manifest your SP to be insanely, crazily, madly in love with you, in a relationship with you and only you, an official relationship, a committed relationship, and now the 3D is showing you something completely different. You have it within yourself to change this. So I've received a lot of questions about revising the past. How does it actually work? All of us coaches have different approaches, and not that one is better than another. It really depends on you and what you resonate with, because you have to make it work for you. So you choose what works for you, what resonates with you. A practice for one person works very well for that one person, but maybe not for you, because it doesn't make any sense to you. So we are all sharing, our tips, what has worked for us, what has worked with our clients, and then you guys decide what works for you, and if it makes sense to you. You have to make it make sense. So for me, it's sometimes a little more challenging to say, oh, this did not happen, when I clearly went through it, even though I know that I only remember because I'm focusing on this reality, and we have a whole bunch of parallel realities, right? And if I choose to focus on another one, then with a different scenario, then this is what I'm going to remember. That's what I am going to experience. So that challenge, for some of you, it's not a big deal. From others, it really, woo, beautiful. You can't see because of the light, but yeah, it's raining like crazy. It's really dark out, and it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But anyways, I love this weather. Now I forgot what I was saying. So yeah, you have to make it make sense for you. Okay, so it's very personal. Each and every one of you will resonate with a technique or another, and you decide what works for you. So for me, deciding that what happened in the past did not happen, even though I clearly remember, it's a little more challenging, and I know other people are really good doing it and it works for them. So for those of you who have a challenge with saying, well, I'm going to focus on a new past memory and not that one, and it's hard because you keep on remembering that, I totally understand. You can do it with practice. However, there are other ways to do it. One of them is to rewrite the story. So last week I was giving you the example of giving, the example there was an illustration that happened with one of my clients. So the situation was that SP was not interested anymore and went with a 3P, a third party, right? So specific person chose a third party over the client. Another one, look at that, thunder, lightnings. It's a very tropical weather. It's really hot outside. That's why I love it. I don't like the rain when it's cold, but when it's hot like this, it's fun. Anyways, so we rewrote the story, and the story was that this third party was actually not a romantic interest, because third party was not interested in him as third party was interested in women, not men. And that story played out. So sometimes it is also challenging for you to decide on a new scenario. I had a client telling me, well, I really don't see how this whole unfolding of events can be assumed a different way and it have a different meaning. So what you can do in those instances is just say, all right, what I am believing right now over this situation is not real. This is not what's happening. There's a much better explanation, and the explanation highly satisfies me. I am super satisfied with the explanation and this turn of event. And SP, of course, is coming back to me. So you can make it general, where you kind of leave it up to the universe to decide for you. I had another client, and I'm gonna give you their story, because that's actually also there. It's gonna hit. Did you see the lightning? There we go. It's getting a little further away from here. So the other my example today of this other success story was with another client, and the story was like this. They were in a long distance relationship, and it was really far away, and she could not go there all the time. Sometimes several months were going by before they could see each other. And at one point, she discovered on social media that there was another woman. My client was a woman, SB was a man, and there was another woman apparently staying with him at his house. And she was extremely afraid to actually ask SP, because she had this dominant silent belief in the back of her mind and deep down inside that maybe because of the distance SP would cheat on her. Maybe because of the distance SP would find someone else who actually lives nearby. So that fear was actually very present, and then she told me, there we go, I manifested it, and now I'm pretty much sure there is a woman staying with him. So she was going through the photos all on social media, really spying, and she realized that the woman was wearing his shoes. She recognized the shoes. She recognized that the woman was making a lot of TikToks, and it was always in his house. So there was too many things that she could see through the social media of this woman that would prove to her that she was actually in a relationship with SB and staying with him. So we worked on that. We worked on rewriting the story. And she really did not know how to go about, because she was like, well, what do you want me to recreate? She's absolutely living with him. We have proof. She's even wearing his clothes or shoes, and she's always on walks with his dog. So what other story can I now write? They are together. I said, well, let's just make it that you are getting an explanation, and the explanation is highly, highly satisfying. So she brought herself the courage, and after 3 weeks, right, to ask the question. And the answer was so simple. It was a person that her SP had known and who was coming from a very disruptive household where the parents were drinking heavily and she was living with her parents. And there was a lot of fighting and a lot of problems, and I don't really remember all the details, but she got kicked out and she had nowhere to go. She had nowhere to stay. And there were friends. There were friends, SB and her, from the gym. So he offered her a place to stay. And she was at work most of the time. She was taking care of the dog. She was making her TikToks. She was not working. She was not doing anything. So all day long she was home making videos. That's why my clients saw so much on social media. And sometimes they were making TikToks together because the other one was just like crazy about TikTok. So they were together on those videos, but they were not together as a couple, even though it could have seemed like it because they lived in the same house for a few weeks. But once my client had finally, the courage to ask the questions and talk, she was so petrified of the answer that she was actually ignoring her SP. And I think she even blocked him for a while. So, this whole mess got created over a misunderstanding, if you wish, or a non-communication, rather. Of course, SP could have warned her, but at the same time, if you follow the logic of her thought process, her fear of him being involved with another person kind of manifested really fast. So there was no conversation of him explaining to her why it had happened. You see? So even that was illogical. If we want to make it more logical in life, if they were really in a good relationship, they would have been talking all the time, and he would have explained, okay, you know what, I'm going to let this girl stay with me because she's homeless right now and I feel bad. But no, their communication was not good enough, and mainly because of her fear of hearing something that she did not want to hear, and that got reflected straight in her reality. So then, of course, she had the explanation. The girl found a job, actually kind of far away. She moved out with another friend because of the commuting that was too much for her new job, and it was a nice place to start, right? To start with a job, make money, and then she could afford her own place. So right there, the whole story, where actually it did clearly look like SP was involved with someone else, but she got a choice to decide whether she was going to accept this reality or reject it and say, no, there's another assumption, there's another explanation, there's another story around this. I am going to create it from scratch, like I'm creating everything else anyways, and this is going to push out. So it took, some work from her, because again, the dominant story of doubting that SP would find someone else was really, really big. So we had to pedal back, do some work on this, look more within how she situated herself in this situation, mainly being chosen, being good enough and not rejected, and how the relationship looked like, and the trust between them, and of course SP coming in as hot and heavy, heavily in love with her. So again, last week, in last video, I explained and I gave you one example. Today I have another example that I have many more, but it's really to show you and share with you that you can do it too. So when there is a circumstance out there that terrifies you, that you don't like, you have the opportunity to choose a different story. You have the opportunity to decide that the reality is actually different, and you can recreate it and rewrite it and dwell on it, you know, repeat the story, affirm, intent, until now it's right there in your face. All right, guys, so thank you so much for watching the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and I wish you all an amazing week. Until next time, bye.